This house, only been inhabited by us for about half a year now. This house almost slipped through our fingertips. We went through a slew of houses before we even got to this one. It was the last one we looked at. It was the last one we saw on Zillow. I contacted the landlord and he gave us a tour the same day. We knew this would be the house for us. It was a little more expensive, but worth every dollar. The large, spacious rooms that can handle the many activities we anticipate partaking in. A 2-car garage to fit half the cars, and other things that won't move too much. Starting off in my room. This is not the first time I have moved out from my parents' house. My room back when I first moved out of my parents' house looked like how it is set up now, but I didn't have the desk previously. And the old room was a lot smaller than this one. Since it was an apartment complex, we didn't have a lot of room in general, at least compared to now. I choose not to buy any shelving or cupboards for my clutter of old files, books, bags, shoes, things. I know that I'm not going to be living here forever, so I don't see the point in fully settling in if I'm not going to be here for the rest of my life. A built-in ledge is something that I have never experienced before in a room. I am still trying to think of things to place on this ledge. It feels like the moon on this ledge. Once something gets placed, it'll never move unless someone disturbs it. That's a criterion for placement, if I'm okay watching it sit for the entirety of my stay here. This bathroom. Too cold in here to even think about, especially being downstairs. It collects all the cold air from the whole house and drops right into that room. I would try and think about it, but I would probably get a brain freeze. This room. We had the highest hopes for this one. The possibilities were and still are endless. It essentially was a completely spare room for us to begin with. The first name it adopted was the Rave Room, simply because it rhymed and we had no other ideas for it other than to host people down here for parties. It is transformed into the media room, where one roommate has taken his makeshift studio. I have my foosball table, and another roommate with his studio lights and backdrop. We have yet to produce anything here other than a few songs. My thinking was that this room is the furthest point in the house away from all the neighboring houses, meaning we could potentially be the rowdiest down here. It is partially underground as well, which would hopefully dampen the noise. We tried having a party down here, but we were afraid people would spill liquor on the carpet, and people ended up wanting to be upstairs anyways, so we didn't have much to worry about there, just the noise. We have had a few encounters with foreign substances that stick out like a sore thumb on our white carpet. Some weird berries a guest stepped in on his way up to the house. His arms were full of beer and was excited to have arrived, so he didn't remove his shoes, which tracked some in. I don't blame him, though. I certainly would have done the same thing. I don't feel those stains are as bad as the wine upstairs. Just some drunken nights that led to a few drops leaving the cup, but onto the carpet and not into our mouths. Unfortunate, really. The large backyard. This caught my eye when we were first looking at the house. I think the initial excitement of finding a house that was very large that came with a backyard that is just as big. At least that's what it feels like. With the ability to host lots of people or large smoke sessions, we quickly took advantage of this feature. I sometimes see raccoons, squirrels, and the occasional neighbor's cat on the back porch. Only during the nighttime, when the motion-activated porch light gets triggered by some creature scurrying by. Sometimes the sudden illumination of the light startles whoever is near the door. Speaking of neighbors, there is a house which sits right above our backyard. They sometimes come out to their back porch to let their dog out, smoke a cigarette. They can look over our whole house, like they own the place or something. Which they don't, of course. We don't even own this place. This kitchen, though only having been used for a short period of time, it has seen some decent wear. We each cook at least twice a day. Occasionally it's simple, other dishes more complex. My meals aren't extreme or healthy, occasionally healthy. Ease is usually what I look for in a meal. Something that I know how to cook well and fast. Eggs, spaghetti, PB&J. My parents probably wouldn't like to see my eating habits at the moment. My dad especially. He's the one who cooks most in my family and is always asking if I'm eating enough fruits and veggies. My parents definitely wouldn't like my smoking habit. Somewhat hidden from them, they still see through the facade. But since I don't live with them anymore, it has become a lot easier and less judgmental. It's not the substance they're upset with, since my grandma uses it for medical purposes. It's how often I use it. They could possibly be concerned. My mother always asks me what I like about smoking cannabis as much as I do. I usually don't have much of a reason for her other than I like the feeling and it's more of a social thing to pass time with friends. Always responding with, I'm sure you can find something else that you can do with your friends. Not knowing that a lot of my friends I do hang out with are because of the bonds I've made with them while smoking. We try to decorate the common space where people hang out the most. The art on the wall is provided by other roommates. Same with the carpet under the table, and the table itself. The TV, all the movies, games, and consoles, all provided by another roommate. I'm pretty lucky that they are willing to share all this, even the couch. That wouldn't have gone anywhere, but right where it is, though. I enjoy this hanging lamp that's above the door. It's weird and quirky. I don't really understand it. I personally wouldn't have picked that design. The house doesn't have the same feeling as this lamp's portraying. It's saying that we are one with the plant since it is growing out of the ceiling, which is absolutely not the case. This fireplace. This is where we get most of our heat from. We rarely run the forced air unit out of the house, trying to save energy by only using the fireplace. I'm not sure if it is even making much of a difference though. The bills are somewhere between $50 and $100 depending on the month. The fireplace really produces a lot of heat. It can heat this common room in less than 30 minutes, and the rave room in what feels like less than 15. It's honestly a bit of a lifesaver. I wish the heat could travel down to my room or bathroom at least. This hallway is kind of a stranger to me. I don't walk down it very often. It leads to the other roommates' rooms and a bathroom. I sometimes find myself wandering down this hallway, peeking my head into rooms to see if they're there. It feels like everybody's room is their own cave, that feels nearly awkward being in, like you're only able to take a few steps in before it's a little too far. Only when you're invited in is when you can truly enter. I sometimes find myself in this hallway going to other roommates to maybe rally them into hanging out. It's vice versa with them and my room. Since it's so far away from everything, it feels like my room is more of a cave than everyone else's room. I feel like this house is special, even though there are a few things I would change. I overall really enjoy living here. It gives me the ability to do everything and anything. This house gives us all a greater sense of independency and knowledge going into our futures. The responsibility to keep up a house and make sure that it's in the same condition as it was when we first started renting the place, It is a coming-of-age experience for most of us. The media room has the greatest potential energy in this entire house. I plan on beginning to create media from this house: film, photography, challenge videos, reaction videos, and skits. I feel like getting everyone's help and thoughts while still directing the films, we would be able to create some fun, entertaining, and popular media. Being able to produce media easily where I live is a very crucial aspect of producing in general. Being able to do anything out of the house reduces production costs and post-production costs. And having knowledge from other roommates will provide differing opinions on production and post-production decisions. Though usually working in a group for a media project can be kind of difficult for beginners like us, it will still be a learning process for all. To have a safe place to produce where essentially nothing is stopping me besides money and sleep is a key to a successful production team/personnel. I really like this house and its potential. The ability to create, explore, and live our lives. The opportunity and possibilities that open from the abilities of this house are endless. From parties to kickbacks to production to finding friendship and love all along the way.